slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams and some modestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable.
Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. A vacant, modern kingdom for the taking.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
पण
In the quiet suburbs of Pretoria, South Africa, a young boy sat alone with a book in his hands. While other kids played outside, he was lost in worlds of science fiction, engineering, and distant galaxies. That boy was Elon Musk, and even then, something about him felt different. Not loud, not expressive, but intensely focused, almost like his mind was always somewhere far ahead of where he physically was. He was born in 1971, and from a very early age, curiosity became his strongest trait. It wasn't just normal childhood curiosity, it was deeper. He would read encyclopedias for hours, memorizing information most adults would ignore. By the age of 10, he had already fallen in love with computers, not just using them, understanding them. And by 12, he created his first video game called Blaster, which he sold for around $500. That moment, small as it seemed at the time, was the first signal of something larger beginning to form. But his childhood wasn't easy. He was often bullied at school. He spent a lot of time alone. Books became his escape, and imagination became his companion. He once said that he read so much that he would run out of books and start rereading them. That habit shaped something important in him, the belief that knowledge was the most powerful tool a human could have. As he grew older, he moved through different countries, eventually leaving South Africa to avoid mandatory military service and to seek greater opportunities. First Canada, then the United States. Each move wasn't just geographical, it was strategic, even if he didn't fully know it yet. He was constantly placing himself closer to innovation, closer to where the future was being built. At university in Canada, and later at the University of Pennsylvania, he studied physics and economics. Physics gave him a framework to understand how the universe works. Economics gave him a framework to understand how humans exchange value. This combination would later define every major decision he made. In the mid-1990s, the internet was just beginning to explode. Most people saw it as a tool. He saw it as infrastructure for the future of civilization. Along with his brother Kimball Musk, he started Zip2, a company that helped newspapers move their content online with maps and directories. It was not glamorous, but it was essential. In 1999, Compaq bought Zip2 for nearly $300 million. For Musk, this was not an endpoint, it was fuel. But Musk pushed for faster innovation cycles. Instead of treating cars as static machines, he treated them like software platforms. Updates could be pushed remotely. Improvements could be continuous. Gradually, Tesla began to succeed. The Roadster proved electric cars could be fast. The Model S proved they could be luxurious. The Model 3 proved they could be affordable. At the same time, SpaceX achieved another breakthrough: reusable rockets. For decades, rockets were thrown away after one use. Musk's team managed to land boosters back on Earth, dramatically reducing launch costs. This was a turning point in aerospace history. But Musk didn't stop there. In 2002, he founded Space Exploration Technologies Corp., SpaceX. His goal was not small. He wanted to make humans a multi-planetary species. Most people laughed. Rockets were something governments did. NASA had decades of experience. Private companies had failed repeatedly. Musk was entering one of the hardest industries in the world. The early years were brutal. SpaceX launched rockets that exploded. 3 failures in a row. Money was running out. Engineers were stressed. Investors were doubtful. He was nearly at the edge of bankruptcy, but he kept pushing. He personally reviewed engineering details. He challenged assumptions. He questioned why rockets cost so much and why reusable rockets were not the norm. Most experts said it was impossible. In 2008, everything changed. On the 4th attempt, SpaceX successfully launched Falcon 1 into orbit. That moment didn't just save the company. It changed the perception of what private space companies could do. Around the same time, another company was struggling: Tesla Motors. Tesla was not yet the giant it is today. It was a risky electric vehicle startup trying to compete with the entire global automotive industry. Musk invested heavily and eventually became the CEO. The early Tesla years were also extremely difficult. Production delays, financial crises, skepticism from traditional car manufacturers, everything seemed to be against it. There was a moment known internally as production hell, where the company was almost collapsing under the pressure of scaling manufacturing. He started thinking about energy, transportation, artificial intelligence, brain-computer interfaces, and even tunneling systems under cities. To him, all these problems were connected. They were all part of making human civilization more sustainable and scalable. He founded SolarCity, which focused on solar energy solutions. Later, it merged into Tesla's energy division. He also founded The Boring Company to solve urban traffic through underground tunnels. And then Neuralink, a company aiming to connect human brains directly to computers. Each idea sounded futuristic, almost unrealistic. But Musk had a pattern. He would take something people believed was impossible, break it down into physics, and then slowly rebuild a path toward making it real. Meanwhile, SpaceX continued breaking records. Falcon Heavy launched as one of the most powerful rockets ever built. The Tesla Roadster was sent into space as a symbolic payload, orbiting the sun with a mannequin named Starman inside. That moment captured global attention. It was part marketing, part engineering statement, and part philosophy. Humans were no longer confined to Earth in imagination or reality. Tesla, meanwhile, became one of the most valuable car companies in the world. Electric vehicles shifted from niche to mainstream. Traditional automakers began accelerating their own EV programs. Musk became one of the most influential figures in technology and business, but his approach remained controversial. He worked intensely, expected extreme dedication from teams, and often made bold public statements on social media that influenced markets. Still, the results were undeniable. SpaceX began launching astronauts to the International Space Station in collaboration with NASA. This marked the first time a private company carried humans into orbit. A historic shift in space exploration. Tesla expanded globally, building gigafactories to scale production in the United States, China, and Europe. The company wasn't just selling cars, it was reshaping energy systems. Neuralink began early experiments in brain-machine interfaces, aiming to help people with neurological conditions first, before expanding into broader cognitive enhancement possibilities. Throughout all of this, Musk's personal philosophy remained consistent. If a problem is important enough, and physics allows it, then it should eventually be solved. But his journey wasn't smooth. He faced criticism, media pressure, financial risk, and intense public scrutiny. There were moments when both Tesla and SpaceX were close to failure at the same time. He reportedly risked his last remaining funds to keep both companies alive. That level of risk-taking is rare. Most entrepreneurs diversify and protect themselves. Musk concentrated everything into his vision. Over time, his companies stabilized and grew stronger. SpaceX began working on Starship, a fully reusable spacecraft designed for Mars missions. Tesla pushed toward autonomous driving, artificial intelligence systems, and energy storage solutions. Neuralink advanced slowly but steadily in medical research. The Boring Company continued experimenting with underground transport systems. What makes Musk's journey unique is not just success, but scale. Few individuals have influenced multiple industries at once: space, automotive, energy, artificial intelligence, communications. Yet behind the global headlines is a consistent pattern: obsession with first principles thinking. Instead of accepting how things are done, he asks why they are done that way, and whether physics allows a better method. Today, Elon Musk is associated with some of the most ambitious technological goals in modern history: colonizing Mars, transitioning the world to sustainable energy, advancing human-AI integration, and transforming transportation both on Earth and beyond it. His journey is still unfolding. Unlike traditional biographies that end, his story is actively being written in real time through rockets launching, factories expanding, and technologies evolving. And at the core of it all remains that same pattern from childhood: a boy reading books alone, imagining worlds far beyond his own, slowly building the tools to turn imagination into engineering reality. But at that time, Starship was not even a design that people respected. It was a sketch, a concept that sounded like science fiction. Engineers around the world were skeptical. Even inside aerospace circles, the idea of rapidly reusable orbital-class rockets was considered unrealistic. Still, Musk pushed forward. While SpaceX was scaling up, Tesla entered its most dangerous period. Around 2017-2019, the company faced what Musk later called production hell. The Model 3 was supposed to be Tesla's breakthrough into mass-market electric vehicles, but manufacturing bottlenecks nearly destroyed the company. Factories were not producing enough cars. Automation systems failed. Assembly lines broke down. Costs were spiraling. At one point, the company was weeks away from running out of cash. Inside Tesla, pressure was extreme. Employees worked long hours, sometimes sleeping in factories just to keep production alive. Musk himself was deeply involved in engineering decisions, often sleeping at the factory floor. Critics believed Tesla would collapse. Financial analysts predicted bankruptcy. Short sellers were betting heavily against the company. But something unusual happened. Instead of slowing down, Tesla simplified its production process. Musk pushed for radical redesigns, reducing complexity, cutting unnecessary steps, and streamlining manufacturing. Slowly, production started stabilizing. Then came the turning point. Tesla achieved consistent production of the Model 3. Deliveries increased, revenue grew, and suddenly, the company that was supposed to fail became one of the most valuable automotive manufacturers in the world. At the same time, SpaceX was making breakthroughs that completely changed the aerospace industry. Reusable rockets were no longer theory, they were reality. Falcon 9 boosters began landing vertically after launching payloads into space. For decades, rockets had been single-use, like throwing away a jet after one flight. Now SpaceX was recovering and reusing them. This alone reduced launch costs dramatically. It also changed global space competition. Governments and private companies had to rethink everything. Then came Falcon Heavy. When it launched, it became one of the most powerful operational rockets in the world. The side boosters landed back on Earth in synchronized precision, while the center core attempted a landing on a drone ship at sea. Even though one core failed to land, the mission was still a massive success. It showed that heavy payload space travel could be reusable and cost-efficient. After those early breakthroughs, the story of Elon Musk didn't slow down. It actually entered its most intense phase, where ambition, risk, and global attention all collided at once. As SpaceX started proving it could survive in the space industry, Musk shifted focus towards something even bigger than just reaching orbit. He began thinking about long-term survival of humanity. Not just making rockets, but making humanity multiplanetary. In his mind, Earth was a fragile system, beautiful but vulnerable. If life was to survive for millions of years, it couldn't stay on one planet. So SpaceX began working on something far more advanced than Falcon 1 or Falcon 9. The idea was Starship, a fully reusable spacecraft capable of carrying humans to Mars. This is where Tesla shifted from being a car company to an energy company. During this time, Musk also became more vocal publicly. His presence on social media became a global phenomenon. A single tweet could move markets, influence crypto prices, or spark debates across industries. This added both influence and controversy to his image. But behind the public attention, other projects were quietly developing. One of them was Neuralink. The goal of Neuralink was to create a direct interface between the human brain and computers. The idea sounded extreme, almost science fiction, but the initial focus was medical, helping people with paralysis, brain injuries, or neurological disorders. Early prototypes involved implanting tiny electrodes into the brain to detect and transmit neural signals. The long-term vision was far bigger, enabling humans to communicate directly with machines and potentially even with each other through thought alone. But what made Falcon Heavy truly iconic was its symbolic payload, a Tesla Roadster launched into space, carrying a mannequin known as Starman. It orbited the sun, becoming a cultural moment that blended engineering, art, and imagination. At this point, Musk was no longer just building companies. He was shaping narratives about the future of humanity. Meanwhile, Tesla expanded beyond cars. The company began building energy storage systems like Powerwall and PowerPack. These systems were designed to store renewable energy, making solar and wind power more reliable. The vision was not just electric vehicles, but a fully sustainable energy ecosystem. Solar generation, battery storage, and electric transportation all connected. SpaceX faced multiple Starship test failures. Early prototypes exploded during testing. Massive stainless steel rocket bodies would lift, hover briefly, then crash in dramatic explosions. Each failure was public, streamed, and analyzed globally. Yet each failure provided data, and each iteration improved design. This rapid experimental approach was different from traditional aerospace methods. Instead of slow, cautious development, SpaceX embraced fast iteration: build, test, fail, learn, repeat. Over time, Starship prototypes began succeeding in higher altitude flights and controlled landings. It became clear that fully reusable orbital spacecraft were no longer impossible. They were being engineered step by step. Meanwhile, Tesla entered another major shift: artificial intelligence for self-driving cars. The company developed autopilot and full self-driving systems using neural networks trained on massive amounts of driving data collected from Tesla vehicles around the world. Every Tesla on the road became part of a learning system, continuously improving driving algorithms. This approach turned Tesla into not just a car manufacturer, but a distributed AI computing network. As these technologies advanced, Tesla's valuation grew significantly, making it one of the most valuable companies in the world. SpaceX also grew in valuation due to its dominance in satellite launches and Starlink expansion. Starlink, another SpaceX project, aimed to provide global internet coverage using thousands of low Earth orbit satellites. This system was especially useful in remote areas, disaster zones, and regions with limited internet infrastructure. During conflicts and emergencies, Starlink proved critical for maintaining communication networks when ground systems failed. At this point, Musk's influence extended into space communication, global transportation, energy systems, and artificial intelligence. But the journey was not without personal and professional strain. Managing multiple high-pressure companies created constant stress. Public scrutiny intensified. Every decision was analyzed, criticized, or debated globally. Yet despite this, technological progress continued accelerating. SpaceX began regular crewed missions to the International Space Station using Crew Dragon capsules. This marked a historic shift. Private companies were now transporting astronauts into space reliably. Tesla expanded gigafactories in multiple countries, scaling production globally. Electric vehicles started shifting from niche luxury products to mainstream transportation options worldwide. Neuralink continued slow but steady progress in clinical research. The Boring Company tested more tunnels and urban transit concepts. At the same time, another project called the Boring Company was experimenting with underground tunnels to reduce traffic congestion in cities. The idea was simple but controversial. Instead of expanding roads above ground, build high-speed tunnel networks below cities. While critics mocked it as unnecessary, small-scale implementations began in places like Las Vegas, showing early feasibility. Despite managing multiple companies, Musk's workload continued to increase. He became CEO of Tesla and SpaceX simultaneously, while also overseeing Neuralink, the Boring Company, and later additional ventures. His working style became legendary. Extremely long hours, rapid decision-making, and intense focus on engineering details defined his leadership approach. But success didn't remove challenges. Through all of this, Musk's core philosophy remained unchanged. Reduce things to physics, eliminate unnecessary assumptions, and solve problems from first principles. Instead of asking how things are normally done, he constantly asked why they are done that way, and whether there is a fundamentally better approach. Today, the story of Elon Musk is still unfolding. Starship is still in development. Tesla is pushing toward full autonomy. Neuralink is moving toward broader human trials. Starlink continues expanding globally. And the long-term vision remains consistent. Advanced technology to the point where humanity can become multiplanetary, sustainable, and deeply integrated with intelligent systems. What makes this journey unique is not just success, but continuous escalation of ambition. Each achievement becomes a foundation for the next, larger challenge. And in that sense, the story is far from over. The engineering challenges were enormous. The rocket itself was massive, made from stainless steel instead of carbon fiber, and designed to carry humans and cargo to the moon and Mars. But early tests were extremely volatile. Prototypes exploded during pressure tests, during static fires, and even during landing attempts. Each failure was broadcast globally, turning SpaceX test sites into public spectacles of both failure and innovation. But inside the company, failure was not treated as defeat. It was treated as data. Every explosion taught engineers something new. Every failed landing refined the next design. This rapid iteration cycle became one of SpaceX's defining strengths. Eventually, Starship prototypes began achieving partial successes: high-altitude flights, controlled descents, and soft landings of components. It was no longer a question of if, but when full reusability would be achieved. Meanwhile, Tesla was entering another transformation phase. The long-term vision was to transition the world away from fossil fuels into a fully renewable energy ecosystem. But alongside these technological advancements, Musk also faced increasing pressure from multiple fronts. Running several companies simultaneously created immense workload stress. Public scrutiny intensified, especially as his influence over markets, technology, and even public discourse grew. Every statement he made was analyzed. Every decision was debated globally. His social media presence became both a tool and a source of controversy. Markets would sometimes shift dramatically based on a single post. This level of influence was unprecedented for an individual in the technology sector. Despite this, new projects continued emerging. Neuralink, one of his most futuristic ventures, began moving from theory into early human applications. The company was no longer just producing electric vehicles. It was becoming deeply integrated into artificial intelligence and energy infrastructure. The development of full self-driving systems accelerated rapidly. Tesla vehicles were continuously collecting real-world driving data, feeding massive neural networks that improved driving behavior over time. The idea was simple but powerful. Instead of manually programming every driving scenario, let the system learn from billions of miles of real-world experience. This turned Tesla into something more than a car company. It became an AI-driven mobility platform. Each vehicle on the road was part of a global learning system, constantly improving itself. At the same time, Tesla's energy division was expanding. Large-scale battery storage systems were being deployed to stabilize power grids. Solar energy solutions were being integrated into homes and industries. The goal of Neuralink was to develop brain-computer interfaces that could help people with neurological conditions first, such as paralysis or brain injuries. Tiny implantable devices were designed to read and interpret neural signals with extreme precision. The long-term vision, however, went far beyond medical applications. It included the possibility of human-AI symbiosis, where humans could directly interact with machines using thought alone. This concept raised both excitement and ethical concerns across the scientific community. At the same time, the Boring Company continued experimenting with underground transportation systems. The idea was to reduce traffic congestion by creating high-speed tunnel networks beneath cities. While the concept was met with skepticism in the beginning, small-scale implementations showed that underground transit systems could significantly reduce travel times in dense urban environments. The next phase of Elon Musk's journey begins at a point where most people would assume he had already reached the peak of success. Tesla was becoming a global leader in electric vehicles, SpaceX was regularly launching rockets, and Starlink was reshaping global internet access. But for Musk, success was never the destination. It was just a temporary checkpoint before the next, more difficult problem. At this stage, his focus started shifting even more aggressively toward the long-term survival of humanity. Not just making better cars or cheaper rockets, but fundamentally changing how civilization functions across Earth and beyond it. One of the biggest turning points was the acceleration of SpaceX's Starship program. Unlike Falcon rockets, Starship was designed with an entirely different philosophy. The goal was full reusability at scale. Not just landing rockets, but creating a system where rockets could be launched, recovered, refueled, and launched again in rapid cycles. In parallel, SpaceX expanded Starlink, its satellite internet constellation. Thousands of small satellites were launched into low Earth orbit to provide global internet coverage. This system became especially important in remote regions, disaster zones, and areas with limited infrastructure. It also played a critical role in maintaining communication during emergencies when traditional networks failed. As these systems scaled, Musk's companies began to overlap in their impact. Tesla was transforming transportation and energy. SpaceX was redefining space access and global communication. Neuralink was exploring human cognition. Starlink was reshaping global connectivity. The Boring Company was experimenting with urban infrastructure. Together, they formed an interconnected technological ecosystem with one underlying theme: expanding the capabilities of civilization. They were becoming mainstream transportation industries globally. Government agencies began electrification. Tesla's energy products have also been gaining wider adoption, contributing to the stability of renewable energy storage. None of these technologies were broader than sustainable energy. Despite ensuring the long-term survival of he was known for the long-working hours, working 10 focus on engineering, and rapid. He often moved developing AI and technical integration across multiple fields. This level of rare for individuals managing multi-billion-dollar companies, but it also reflected his philosophy directly engineering is essential for solving hard problems. As time progressed, Elon Musk continued to operate beyond business into global technological direction. However, this rapid expansion came with intense challenges. SpaceX continued facing technical hurdles with Starship development. Early test flights often ended in dramatic failures, with rockets exploding or losing control during descent. Each failure attracted global attention and criticism, but internally, it was seen as necessary progress. The development strategy remained the same: build fast, test quickly, fail publicly, and improve continuously. This approach allowed SpaceX to iterate much faster than traditional aerospace organizations. Eventually, these iterations began paying off. Starship achieved more stable flight profiles. Landing precision improved. Engine reliability increased. The dream of fully reusable orbital-class spacecraft started transitioning from concept to reality. On Earth, Tesla also reached a new milestone. Gigafactories in different regions of the world began producing vehicles at unprecedented scale.